Just gave a class in Spanish. Well, in Spanish for the Brazilian devotees. Yeah. Well, I spoke Portuñol, which is a mix of Spanish and Brazilian. Yeah, they could understand me perfectly. Also, they could understand. So. Because I mean, I visit Brazil and Portugal, so I'm familiar a little bit. Yeah. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Banacharya. Yamuna Tira Banacharya. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Banacharya. Yamuna Tira Banacharya. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayanta Pravishtam Vishnupa Paramahamsa Stotarasata Shishimadis Divine Grace Sri Bhakti Vedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayanta Pravishtam Vishnupa Paramahamsa Stotarasata Shishimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Thakur Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Pramsako Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulasi Maharani Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Hare Nam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishnu Tale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Deva Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nasta Prayesha Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloki Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th Canto, Chapter 4, Text 6. Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, only the first one. Yes. Then we can repeat the others, the other four. Yeah, I understand. Let me just chant the first by myself. Yasyaha pandaveya shloka udabaharanti. Konutat karma rajarsher Naverano acharet puman Apatyatam agadyasya Harishudhena karmana Konutat karma rajarsher Naverano acharet puman Apatyatam agadyasya Harishudhena karmana Konutat karma rajarsher Naber amba charet puman Apatyatam agadyasya Harishudhena karmana Nutata Marajarshe Charet Puma Karmana Puman Patyatama Gadyasya Harishudhena Karmana Natarma Rajarshe Naberamba Charet Puman Patyatama Padyasya Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Please repeat. Yasya, of whom? Ha, indeed. Pandaveya, O Maharaj Parikshit. Shlokau, 2 verses. Udaharanti, recite. Kaha, who? Nu, then. Tat, that. Karma, work. Rajarishe, of the pious king. Nabe, Nabi. Anu, following. Acharet, could execute. Puman, a man. Apatyatam, sonhood. Agat, accepted. Yasya, whose? Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shudhena, pure, executed in devotional service. Karmana, by activities. O Maharaj Parikshit, to glorify Maharaj Nabi, the old sages composed 2 verses. One of them is this: who can attain the perfection of Maharaj Nabi? Who can attain his activities? Because of his devotional service, the Supreme Personality of Godhead agreed to become his son. Purport. The words Shudhena Karmana are significant in this verse. If work is not carried out in devotional service, it is contaminated by the modes of material nature. That is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Yagyartat karma nonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. Activities performed only for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord are pure and are not contaminated by the modes of material nature. All other activities are contaminated by the modes of ignorance and passion, as well as goodness. All material activities meant for satisfying the senses are contaminated, and Maharaj Nabi did not perform anything contaminated. He simply executed his transcendental activities even when performing yajna. Consequently, he attained the Supreme Lord as a son. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble respectful obeisance unto him. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, the word here, Shudhena Karmana, are significant. Prabhupada said, Shudhena means pure. No? Karmana are activities. So, pure activities can really be called pure when they are executed to please the Lord. And Maharaj Nabi is a pure devotee of the Lord, and everything he did was free from any contamination of the 3 modes of nature, even goodness, because everything he did was to please the Lord. Even the yagyas, generally yagyas were done for fruitive activities, elevation to heavenly planet, material benefits, but Maharaj Nabi didn't do it with that purpose. His only purpose was to please the Lord. And because of that, the Lord was so pleased with him, he accepted to become his son, as Maharaj Rishabhadev. So this is very significant that until we arrive to the point of pure devotional service, our devotional service can be mixed with the modes of nature. It is plain in the Bhagavatam, no? Even by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that he said that the devotee who performs devotional service, but he's harsh to others, he's mistreat others, he's in the mode of ignorance. And one should keep some distance from him. Respectfully, of course, we respect all Vaishnava, but from a distance. Because he's ill-behaved. Mistreat people, is harsh with people. So that's in the mode of ignorance. And in the person in the mode of performing devotional service, in the mode of passion, he very much desires some material benefit from his service. either praise from others or some material gain in somehow, some or other way, some recognition, position, fame, whatever, no? So these are obstacles under the practice of devotional service. Kanaka kamini pratishta. Kanaka means gold, money. Kamini, beautiful women. And pratishta, prestige, high position, respectful position. So we have to overcome all these impediments in order to come to the platform of pure devotional service. And even the mode of goodness should be overcome. Yesterday, a devotee asked me about how to overcome the mode of goodness. So I told her, well, first we have to be sure that we are overcoming the mode of passion and ignorance to worry about overcoming the mode of goodness, First is first, So first thing is how to overcome the mode of passion and ignorance. Prabhupada explained that mode of ignorance and passion. Passion means lust, for enjoyment, material enjoyment. And ignorance means greed, material greed, to be greedy, or to be angry. That's also part of the mode of ignorance. Some years ago, we have a Ratha Yatra in Mexico City, and a few days before, we devotees arranged a program at Big Theater, Big Theater, and many people came, we invited, other people, dignitaries, and from the government, and even religious people arrived and it came. So one lady asked me this question, how to overcome anger? She said, I have difficulty controlling my anger, and sometimes I hurt people, say horrible things, then I regret it, and, or sometimes even my own children, I beat them up because I get too angry. So what to do? Advise me, please, I told her, okay, I'm going to try to help you here. When you get angry, before saying anything harsh to other people, breathe deeply 3 times, and then chant the Mahamantra 3 times. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Then you calm down, then you can talk. Oh, that's okay, I will try that, thank you. But about becoming physical, angry, I said, okay, same thing. You just, before breathing 3 times, you step 3 steps backward from the person you want to hurt. Breathe 3 times deeply, and then chant 3 times again the Maha Mantra. Then you will see it. And after I saw Ratha Yatra a few days later, she came to thank me. Oh, thank you, that worked. I tried, and that works. Thank you. Okay. So, anyway, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained that there are 3 types of pious activities, Bhagammukhi Sukriti, Mokshammukhi Sukriti, and Bhaktirmukhi Sukriti. Bhagammukhi Sukriti means pious activity and bring material enjoyment, bhoga. Like, helping poor people, opening hospital schools, this kind of thing, giving medicine to the needy and shelter, whatever. These are good activities, but they bring only material benefit. A person who's very pious and help others, he may get a better birth next life and a good family, rich, beautiful, handsome features and nice material education, etc. But that's also bondage. You have to be born again, suffer old age. Doesn't mean that a rich person is gonna suffer less if he get COVID than the poor guy. He will suffer the same, So, anyway, and Mokshammukhi Sukriti means that pious activity can give you moksha, impersonal liberation. Like fasting, doing austerities and controlling the mind, the senses, meditating on Brahman, and chanting the mantra Om, I remember a few years ago, many years ago in Los Angeles, I was in charge of the Bhakta program there. Vijay was there, of course. And two nice boys came from Belize, to join the movement. So they joined, they were good devotees. I mean, one of them became became big in Sankirtan, book distribution. So when they came, they still were attached to some impersonal philosophy yet. They were giving class every day, training them, everything, Harinam, nice. And I came to call them for class, and they were with the light off, with two candles, sitting together and chanting, Om, Om. Okay, I tell them, please, okay, we have to go to the class now. Oh, okay, they came. That day, they put Prabhupada's lecture. There is one, I think it was on Sunday or Ekadashi, I don't remember. Sunday, they put Prabhupada's lecture. In the lecture, Prabhupada was saying, you don't need to chant Om. It's impersonal. Om is already included in the Mahamantra Hare Krishna. And they were looking at me like I was like purposely put that class for them to listen to. It just happened. I told them it's Paramatma, Anyway, so we can see, Krishna's hand in everything that happened to us at every moment, every day. We should try to see Krishna's hand in everything we do. This morning I gave, like I told you, the class, and what he asked, how to overcome pride, because we always say the Trinada api sunichena verse, Tarora api sahishnuna. It's not Eva, Eva. It's api. Prabhupada mentioned api, isn't correct? So anyway, once a devotee asked Prabhupada, I'm a very proud person, how can I become humble? And Prabhupada's answer was, by being humble. I mean, how can you do something? By doing it. Prabhupada said, how can you become a drunkard? By drinking. So how we become humble? By practicing it every time, every opportunity we get, to do it. But there is one nice story from the Puranas about that, how to overcome pride. And it has to do with the saying, not even a blade of grass moves without the will of the Lord. It's a popular saying. Once the Devatas, the demigod, had a battle against the demons, the Asuras. And Vishnu was helping them in the fight, He was mounting Garuda and he was, fighting for them also. Anyway, the demigods came out victorious. They defeated the Asuras and they were very happy, but they felt very proud. We are so powerful. We defeated all these huge Asuras, So Lord Vishnu understood that they were proud. So he wanted to teach them a lesson in humility. So Vishnu took in his fingers a blade of grass. And he challenged the demigod. He challenged Vayu, can you make this blade of grass move a little bit? He blew all his powerful wind, not move an inch. He told Agni, can you burn this little blade of grass? He showed all his fire, not even change of color. Indra, you have this Vajra, the thunderbolt. Can you cut it in half? His Vajra was cut in half. And all the demigods understood that without the mercy of the Lord, we are nothing. So they all fell at the feet of Lord Vishnu, asking forgiveness for their pride, and they became humble. So in that way we can, understand, that like the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna said, Purusham Nrishu, I am ability in man. Any ability one may possess, one should always give the credit to Krishna. Because he say, I am the ability in man. So any ability is coming from him. Like, for example, there is a story that once a crow found a peacock feather. And he picked it up and put it on his tail. And he was showing off in front of the other crows. I am a peacock now. All the other crows were, oh, yes, you're great, you're a peacock now. So to show off with the borrowed feathers should not be done, Don't show off with borrowed feathers. So anything we may have, borrowed plumes. Okay, I changed it to feathers. Any plumes is better. Is it? Yes. Yeah. It's okay. Anyway, so and then about the mode, how to overcome the mode of goodness that this lady devotee asked me. I told her the pastime of Narad Muni. Before he became Narad Muni, he was known as Vasudev. In his past life, before Narad Muni. And before that, he told his life story of his past life to his disciple Vyasadeva. He told him, I was a Gandharva on the heavenly planets, and there was a big Sankirtan Yagya performed on my planet, and many demigods and sages came, and I was a very good musician. I had many fans follow me, beautiful lady follow me wherever I go. And they accompany me to the Sankirtan Yagya. And they asked me their favorite song, love song, mundane love song. So to please them, I started to sing that song. Very melodiously, very beautiful. But the sages there became angry at me. Say, this meeting is to glorify the Lord, the Sankirtan, not mundane, love stories. So they cursed me to become the son of a servant, maid servant, a Sudrani. Anyway, in the Purana it is explained, in his next life, he was born as a Vasudeva, as the son of a king and a queen. But then, so the curse had to happen. His father's kingdom was invaded by another king and was killed. And his mother had to escape, run with him to the forest, looking for shelter. And she found a house where an old Brahmana was living. So she became a maidservant to that Brahmana. She was taking care of the house, and that way she became a maidservant. And he became the son of a maidservant. But it is said in the Bhagavatam that he was a young boy. He heard the Bhaktivedantas. He ate the remnants of the food with their permission, And he was hearing Krishna Katha, so he became enlightened, and he was initiated by them. And when they left, one day his mother was milking the cow, and a snake came and bited her, and she died. So he took it as Krishna's mercy. The only attachment I had in this world was my mother, and Krishna took it away. So he left home. And he was, practicing the mantras that they gave him to chant and meditating on the Lord. For many years he did that. And then one day he was seeing the Lord in his heart in full meditation, chanting the mantras. And when he opened his eyes, he saw the same Lord in front of him. So his ecstasy became thousandfold greater, And suddenly the Lord disappeared in front of him. And he tried mechanically again and again to see the Lord, to meditate on the Lord. And no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't do it. So he was desperate. Because if you see the Lord even once, you become your heart became completely conquered, you're overwhelmed, It's something amazing. We should desire one day that something like that will happen to us. It's a good desire. But then he heard the voice of the Lord telling him, I appeared to you just to increase your desire to get me, to see me again. Those who are not 100% pure can't see me. And when we ask the question, what was the fault of Narad Muni? He was following everything strictly, perfectly. Without any mistake. But then the Acharyas explain that Vasudeva, Narad Muni, he was a little attached to the mode of goodness in the form of the beauty of the forest, the sunrise, the sunset, the sound of the river, and the beautiful scenery of mountains and greens, So that little attachment to the mode of goodness was an impediment. What to speak of the attachment to the mode of passion and ignorance, which much bigger impediment. So once the devotees took Prabhupada to a picnic, and they were watching a beautiful sunset, like that. So some devotee told Prabhupada, isn't it very beautiful? Prabhupada said, yes, but we are more concerned with the most beautiful one behind this creation, who created all this beautiful thing. And as soon as we see something beautiful in creation, immediately we should remember that Krishna, his creation is wonderful, very colored, very varied, and so Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in one of his prayers, say that one should admire the Lord's creation without the desire to exploit it or lord over it, but just now you made me remember by saying this pastime of Prabhupada in New York Ratha Yatra in 1976. Did I tell you the story before? Maybe I told you. Yeah, I didn't tell them. So in July 18 was a Ratha Yatra in New York, big Ratha Yatra with 3 big cars, Fifth Avenue, everything closed, But a day before or so, 2 days before, devotees wanted to present to Prabhupada one theater play for his pleasure. A play. Sudama, by Sudama, Sudama and his crew, and they were very good, actually, very professional. And they present Prabhupada a play called The Age of Kali. So Sudama was Kali personified, dressed in frack, with big hat, like that. And he has his assistant, lust, greed, anger, envy, all this thing. Was very, very professionally done, So there was a big theater at the temple at that time. So Prabhupada was sitting surrounded by the sannyasis. We, the brahmacharis, were behind them. So we were seeing everything. The lady devotee, she was playing the part of lust. I'm trying to remember her name. She's German. Rasagya, yes, Rasagya. Very good, thank you. And she was dressed very fancy, So when she came to the stage performing, all the sannyasi would look somewhere else. They would not look at the stage. Only Prabhupada was looking at the stage. And he had a red rose in his hand. He was turning it around. He will smell it, look at the sannyasi and smile at them, and kept watching. So anyway, after the performance, everybody liked it, Prabhupada liked it, because at the end of the play, Lord Chaitanya came with the Sankirtan party, and Kali and his assistant, they were trying not to close their ears, and they'd run away afraid. They were defeated by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. So it was a beautiful ending, Anyway, so Prabhupada walked to the elevator, His room was, I remember, at the 11th floor. So while waiting in the elevator, he turned back to the sannyasi and told them, you have to try to understand the mind of a pure devotee. When he sees a beautiful woman, he admires Krishna's creation. Oh, such a beautiful creation. But he doesn't get bewildered like other men, because he doesn't want to enjoy it or exploit it. He just admires that Krishna created such beautiful thing. Just by seeing it, man becomes bewildered. But he doesn't become bewildered, because he has no desire to lord over or enjoy it. So we are like, wow, that's because I remember when we were brahmachari, we were taught, no, this is a bag of stool and urine, and you have to see it that way. Is something, But when Prabhupada said that, was like a different, more transcendental view, to see everything related to Krishna, Prabhupada said the problem is not to see women. The problem is to see them with the spirit of enjoying. That's the problem. You can't avoid seeing women. You walk anywhere on this. Because one devotee in Africa, he will walk out of the temple because he didn't want to chant, because the arrangement was half the temple for the ladies to chant japa, another half for the men. Prabhupada's arrangement. But this man, he was complaining, and no, I don't want this, and I don't want to have nothing with women. Some devotees were admiring him also, strict brahmachari. When it came to Prabhupada's knowledge, he said he's a rascal. Prabhupada says he's a rascal. He doesn't have equal vision. He sees duality. You have to see, what is that verse in Bhagavad Gita that speaks Samadarshina? Yeah. No, that's not the verse. The verse speak about the sage who see everybody equally. It's Benna Sampane, Banegabi Hastini. Pandita Samadarshina. Prabhupada said he's not Samadarshina, he's not a Pandit. Because he see equally everyone. Once Prabhupada in India, he gave a lecture in a Gita center. And Prabhupada complained to them. You have this Gita center, you only have a picture of a lamp, shining lamp. Why not the speaker of the Bhagavad Gita, Anyway, so they, at the time of question, one man challenged Prabhupada, said, what is your vision of Samadarshina? And Prabhupada said, my vision of Samadarshina is, why only Indians have the right to know Bhagavad Gita? Why not the Westerners, the whole world know Bhagavad Gita? That's why I took the teaching of Bhagavad Gita all over the world. That's my vision of Samadarshina. They couldn't say a word, They just bowed their head down, So anyway, all right. So yes, please do.
So Bhakti Daniel, having been enlivened and enlightened by this class, can go down to the beach and watch all the ladies in the bathing suits. And he's helping himself become transcendental, and he's just seeing how beautiful Krishna's creations are.
I knew such a question was coming up. Unless one is transcendental to the modes of nature, one should not put oneself in risk. Prabhupada said, you can take risks for serving Krishna, but not for your own sake. Understand? So, in that sense, one should not use the philosophy to misuse the philosophy to justify anything. I remember once I was doing. Of course not. I mean, better avoid, temptation. If somebody is weak, should avoid temptation. If somebody is strong, he can be in front of temptation and not tempted because he's very spiritually strong, but not purposely, putting himself in risk. Once Prabhupada was being interviewed by a journalist, and something came up in the conversation about Prabhupada's, spiritual, transcendental position. And Prabhupada challenged them that you can put me in a room with beautiful naked lady, I will not be agitated at all. Prabhupada said that. So, of course, we can't imitate, a pure devotee who is free from all material desires. If we are not free yet from that, why put ourselves at risk? We should not do that. Mm-hmm. So,
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Maharaj, I have a question, may I?
Please do.
Maharaj, in Bhagavad Gita, as it is, Lord Krishna chants to Arjuna that of the senses, he is the mind. So, in relation to the difference between the mind and the other five senses, my question is as follows. if Lord Krishna establishes that the mind is so powerful, in what measure doing manaseva, thinking about Krishna the whole time, can help me in relation to my spiritual progress?
Of course, can help you a lot to think of Krishna all the time, no, undoubtedly, you know. I mean, Arjuna's question was that how to control the mind is very, very flickering, very stubborn, very difficult, you know. Krishna acknowledged it is true, but he advised him by daily practice and detachment, you can do it. Practice means sadhana bhakti. You rise early, you chant your rounds, come to, you know, hear Bhagavatam class, etc. And detachment, knowing everything is, this world is temporary, full of suffering. With that knowledge, you feel some detachment. So with detachment and practice, one can overcome the mind's power to push us, you know, to do things we don't want to, you know. As practicing devotees, sadhakas, we should be very careful. Be very careful. Remember the story of Bilvamangala Thakur. He was at the stage of Baba and still was attracted to the beautiful form of the ladies. I mean, in the Bhagavatam, the Lord said that just know how powerful is my energy, my Maya, in the form of a beautiful woman. Even Lord Shiva was attracted by Mohini Murti, who's Krishna, avatar as a woman, beautiful woman. Even he was, of course, he was defeated but he was proud to have such a wonderful Lord. Was not Mahamaya, was Yoga Maya who defeated Shiva. Yes.
I have a question.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
A little different perspective on this. We have the it's coming up in this canto, the example of Bharat Maharaj,
Yes.
who at a young age gave up his beautiful wife, the whole kingdom and everything, and went to the forest to meditate, and he had reached up to Baba. And we know the story.
Became attached to the
There was
deer.
a fawn,
Yeah.
a baby deer. What would have been his proper reaction there, so that he could have dealt with that and not establish that? I mean, you have this helpless fawn. Would any Vaishnava try to take care of, or just get up and leave?
Yeah, naturally Vaishnavas are kind-hearted and they can see others suffering. They try to help. So Bharat Maharaj's attitude to help the poor animal was in the mode of goodness, was kind in the mode of goodness. But the thing is, my realization is that Krishna wanted to show us through him how careful we should be. Because he was such an elevated devotee, although to prove that Krishna's word in the Bhagavad Gita, yam jam bapismaram bhavam tejate ante kalivaram tam tam vivaiti kanti sad bhava bhavita, that undoubtedly whatever you think at the time of death, you have to get that. To prove that is fully 100% right, Bharat Maharaj had to take it. But because he was a great devotee, sincere devotee, even in the body of a deer, he could remember his past life as a devotee, so he remained a devotee. He wasn't animal actually. He had the body of animal, but not the consciousness of animal. So Krishna wanted to teach every aspiring devotee how careful we should be in our practice of devotee. We can easily be distracted. For Bharat Maharaj was the deer. For most of us is, the medias and the news and, some devotee playing games. So many things on the internet can be a lot of distraction. So for us, the deer is those things. So we have to be careful, not to be distracted by those things.
If I could just add one thing, and you could give your take on it. I heard, I forget where it was, that this is also one of the lessons here is that you need association. He was doing
you
it all
can't be
alone,
just alone.
and then
I mean, even King Nabi, it will in the future verses that he went to the forest. But generally, they don't go to the forest just to be alone. They find other sages to have their association to. you know, and to listen from them and practice with them, so to achieve perfection. Mukunda. Haribol.
In the purport, it was mentioning that anything outside of devotional service is contaminated.
Yes.
So anything, as soon as it's not for Krishna, then it's in the modes of material nature. Therefore, it's contaminated.
Yeah.
And then outside the purport, then you added to that how even within devotional service, it can be contaminated by different modes.
Correct.
So I was wondering about. Well, you used the example that even there can be devotional service in the mode of ignorance, and so I can be practicing devotional service, but at the same time being harsh or disrespecting devotees. So, but if I'm practicing devotional service in ignorance, is that enough to? Or I guess if I'm just performing something in the modes of material nature, I can do that. I can just keep doing that. And it's only by someone else giving something to me or the mercy of someone else that I can then get out of the modes of nature and take to devotional service. So if I'm just acting in the modes of material nature, I'm acting in ignorance, I'll just keep acting in ignorance. I'll just keep cycling through it. And so, but I'm wondering if I'm practicing devotional service in ignorance, can someone look at me and still think that, well, I'm practicing devotional service, so that will lead me to devotional service and passion, or devotional service and goodness, and then eventually pure devotional service. And so as long as I'm still engaging in devotional service, it's enough to keep bringing me up to the pure devotional service platform? Or do I need some kind of intervention from other devotees to then check or to...
No, we need the help of all other devotees, undoubtedly. Association is very, very important, and advancement in spiritual life. If we can hear some good advice from other devotees to help us how to overcome the influence of the modes of nature, we should accept it. It's good for us. Of course, we have to make our effort. Nobody's going to chant our rounds for us, We have to do our efforts. It's an individual process. But at the same time, the help of good association is very important. We should take it. We should seek good association. The Shastra advice, one should always seek association of more advanced devotee than oneself.
Of course, it's not black and white, because I will always, if I'm practicing devotional service and I would seek out association, I'd be in the association of devotees. But I'm wondering if, in and of itself, if because it's devotional service, if it's so powerful that will just automatically bring me out of the service and ignorance to higher or...
Naturally, yes.
Or if it brings me out.
The purification process does work. If we keep doing devotional service, eventually we'll become purified, undoubtedly. But it has to do a lot with our frame of mind while doing the service. Can be slower, the advancement can be more speedy, depending on our mentality, how we do it. Not just the service itself, but the mentality with which we do it is more important than the service itself. So it's very important. Please do.
In addition to what you were saying, because your answer is right on target, we had an interesting conversation a couple of days ago with some GBC members. We were waiting for his, it's a long story, but there was the discussion. I've had similar discussion with Shivaram Maharaj. And devotees sometimes try to parse things into single boxes, but it doesn't work like that. You've got sadhana siddhi, you've got kripa siddhi, you've got, there's many, many different ways that one becomes delivered. And it's not, sometimes, just like there's 9 different processes of devotional service. Now, some people you can become perfect by just one. There's exemplars of just one. Yeah. But if one's serious, why not take the whole package?
Right.
So that's what Marge is saying. It's not that, okay, it's true. One can be delivered just, you've got, who was it? Someone was saying Valmiki, he was chanting Rama Rama, and it became Rama Rama Rama, and the whole Ramayana became revealed to him, and he became a pure devotee. So that happens. Narada Muni takes Charnamrita and becomes so ecstatic that his Brahman thread he stretches out, his Brahman thread snaps. So, I mean, there's all kinds of individual elements, but really, if we're sincere, which, you know, everybody in this room is, you want to take advantage of all of the processes. Like Maharaj said, it's the mentality. Sure, you can be delivered just by Krishna's direct mercy, and it happens sometimes. You can be delivered just by chanting the holy name. That happens sometimes. You can be simply delivered by Kripa Siddhi by another Vaishnav. That happens. People get touched by a devotee. Who's that with the whip? You know, you get Ram. Yeah, you just get touched by the whip.
You get Krishna Prema.
And you get Krishna Prema. But don't, you know, if we're serious, take it all.
Yeah. Sometimes devotees also have this wrong idea that sometimes Shata said, if you visit this place, you are liberated, you know. Or if you do this, you are liberated. And so they do that, and artificially they think, no, I'm liberated. I can do anything I want. So we can take things so cheaply, understand what I mean? It's not something like you say automatic. It's nothing automatic, in the sense that we have to have the right state of mind, of consciousness, and to do it to please Krishna, you know. That's the frame of mind, and that's most important in our practice, you know. Because externally you can use your senses, but what about your mind? If it's going here and there and everywhere, you will not get the full benefit of the service. You'll get some benefit, undoubtedly, but not the full benefit.
That all helps a lot. I guess if I want to try to see if I can narrow in on one part is, I'm thinking that it seems devotional service in the mode of ignorance is kind of like on the threshold, and that on one hand I'm making offenses in my service, and offenses, you know, take one away from devotional service. At the same time, it's service, so it's bringing me toward devotional service, it's increasing my service. So it's like on this kind of threshold, you know. So I'm wondering, what is the effect of devotional service in ignorance? Is the effect that it's moving me away, or is the effect of that devotional service in ignorance that it's moving me toward?
The idea is not to stay in mode of ignorance. The idea is to
Any devotional service performed in any way is eternal benefit. So you're definitely moving forward. It's just as Mark's saying, you don't want to stay there. You'll think, well, hey, you know, I'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
There's no question that even any pinch of devotional service is an eternal step forward.
Prabhupada said, even unwillingly, even if you do some service unwillingly, you still get the benefit. Undoubtedly. No? Even if somebody jokingly say, oh, Hare Krishna, you know, they still get the benefit. Sometimes people greet me like that, walking on chanting, Hare Krishna, some drunk man, you know. Say, okay, Hare Krishna. Yeah, so they get some spiritual benefit. Once in the second, 26th Second Avenue, Prabhupada was giving a lecture. A drunkard came into the temple, and he looked around, you know, and, you know, went to the bathroom, and when he left and came back with a bunch of toilet paper, and put them in the in the toilet, and Prabhupada said it's not right, but he felt that I want to do some service here, so that's good for his eternal benefit, you know.
I'll tell you far out. I'm just thinking the time factor.
Yeah.
There was a crazy guy, not quite in order as Prabhupada would say, who was coming to the Detroit temple. And, you know, devotees are very kind, so they were, you know, he would come and we'd give him a little prasadam, and he would sweep up. And then we hadn't seen him for a while, you know, a couple of weeks. And he showed up one morning, just in time for breakfast, as people are prone to do, and the devotee opened the front door to let him in, but you know, they were just about to serve the Mahaprasadam, so the devotee went back into the Prasadam room, and this guy took off like a shot, running upstairs. And the temple room, the deity room, was in the, you know, renovated attic, you know, top floor. Everybody knew where he was going. You could just sense it. The guy was running full bore with his shoes on. By Krishna's, and he came around the corner and he lunged towards the deities. He tried to attack Radha Kunja Bihari. There was a devotee, Jamuna Tattacharya, a great hero, not our Jamuna, different Jamuna Tattacharya, and he was fixing Prabhupada's Vyasasana. I don't know how he did it, but he leapt from the back and tackled the guy.
Wow.
And the guy's fingers went right down Radharani's skirt. And he knocked Tulsi off the altar, you know. And the devotees, you know, helped him see the error of his ways. Dragged him out, this and that, you know. He tried to call the police, and the police said, you know, if you'd done this in my church, we would have killed you. So, I mean, that's Detroit police.
Yeah.
But the point is that Govardhan, I don't know how it came up, but Prabhupada happened to be coming a couple weeks later, maybe 2 weeks later, and Govardhan was sharing with Prabhupada the story. And Govardhan was asking Prabhupada what would happen to this guy. You know, what's his future? You know, imagine attacking the deities, knocking Tulsi off the altar.
Yeah, yeah.
But to explain how he got so close without the devotees, and that's one of the letters Prabhupada said, from then on we need to have gates in front of the deities. That was one of the genesis for this. But the point is that Govardhan was explaining to Prabhupada why we kind of dropped our guard, that he was coming, he was taking prasadam, he was sweeping. And then Govardhan said, what's happened to him? Prabhupada's first response was, whatever service he's rendered, that is to his eternal benefit. He'll have to suffer the reaction for attacking the deities. He'll get a reaction. No, I mean, he'll be wandering in the Himalayas, you know, with Ashwatthama. But the point is that the benefit will ultimately fructify, and that is an eternal benefit. Even somebody as crazy as that, simply by sweeping.
But thank you, Maharaj, for sharing that. I may add to that in this Shastra it is explained that devotional service doesn't depend on karma. In the sense, somebody may be born in a very bad situation, you know, because of bad karma, bad things he did. But because he did some devotional service in his past life, he naturally will be attracted again to devotional service. Although suffering from his past karma, his misdeeds, some or other he become attracted again to, like that. The nice example in the Bhagavatam is Kubja. And Kubja in her past life was Shorpanaka, the Ravana's sister. And she became attracted in a lusty way to Ramchandra because she was very beautiful. So she just, she's Rakshasi, ugly, but she had mystic power. She became very nice, beautiful, you know, young girl. And she approached Ramchandra. I'm very much attracted to you. Please marry me. Ramchandra said, well, I'm flattered, such a beautiful lady, you know, but I'm married man. I have my wife, Sita, you know. But my brother Lakshman is free, go to him, you know. So she went to Lakshman. Oh, dear Lakshman, you're also very handsome. Why you will not marry me? He said, oh, I'm also very flattered, you know, but you don't want to marry a servant. I'm the servant of my brother. He's the king. Insist on him. So she went back to Ramchandra again. He said, okay, I know kings can have more than one wife, but I made a vow, ekapatni vrat, only one wife. So I'm sorry, it's my wife Sita. Of course, she became angry, jumped on her, and Lakshman had to cut off her nose and ears. But that attraction remained in her. And next day, she was born as Kubja. Because of her offense to Sita Devi, she was born hunchbacked. But as soon as she saw Krishna Balaram entering Mathura, as soon as she saw Krishna, her lusty attraction awakened again. And she ran to him. She had made sandalwood pole. She was a servant of Kamsa. She was going to... And when she saw Krishna, spontaneously, she took the sandalwood put and started putting all over Krishna's body, decorating him. And Krishna accepted his service because it was spontaneous. And to reward her, he grabbed her cheeks and pulled her up, and the hunchback disappeared, became a very beautiful girl. She was still lusty after Krishna. She invited him to her home. And Krishna went and put his lotus feet on her breast, and all his lust was washed away. She became completely a pure devotee. So, somehow or other, somebody's attracted to Krishna. Even the wrong way, the final outcome is that person will become purified. So that's very encouraging, you know. That. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari. Yes.